Hi, I'm Jason Gorb for ThatShelf.com, and we're here to look at this incredible new release, Chicago Live in 1971.
Shelf.
So 1971, the year before I was born, Chicago, the band, formerly known as Chicago Transit Authority, did a show at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, and they have released, for the first time ever, this live concert. Some of the Chicago stuff, particularly in that era, is just extraordinary. I mean, the band is just outrageously good, incredible musicianship, incredible songwriting, certainly much more experimental. I mean, I do this all the time, and it's so interesting. When you were born in the 70s and grew up in the 80s, so many of these bands and these artists were doing all the 80s schmaltz stuff. And it was only later that you go back and you realize, like, oh, this is like, so, like, look, I love Invisible Touch era Genesis, and I love the Phil Collins stuff. But the revelation I had decades after hearing that stuff, or a decade anyway after hearing that stuff, of going back to the Peter Gabriel era, or just Peter Gabriel, the difference between So and the stuff that he was doing with Genesis is so dramatic, stunning. Same thing with people like Stevie Wonder. I mean, the difference between the stuff that we're hearing in the 80s or Aretha Franklin versus stuff in the 60s, 70s, just mind-blowing. Chicago the same way. Pete Cetera was doing all these, super melodic stuff. Chicago had been floating around doing a bunch of pop hits, but to go sort of backwards and hear the stuff that they're doing earlier in their career took me a long time to actually dive in, but once I did, I was completely hooked. So this release, available both on vinyl and on digital. I love that they did this, because a lot of times what happens with live concerts like this is the digital version, the CD version, will be the complete concert, and then the vinyl will be sort of a truncated best of thing. But this is such a historic performance, very well recorded at an incredible institution. It's really great. So it's a 3 CD set, or it's a 4 LP set, and it has the complete show from September 16th, 1971. So 51 years, almost to the day when I'm recording this. And then we have Lee Longnane, doing the a little blurb on the back. It was an honor for me and Tim Jessup to restore the Kennedy Center project. As a band, we were excited to be one of the first musical acts to perform at the Kennedy Center. It was a thrilling time for us. I was especially surprised to remember that we were also busy a year-long developing songs for our live shows that would be included on future products. Case in point, we did Saturday in the Park for the first time at the Kennedy Center show. You'll notice that we hadn't yet decided on who would sing the lead vocal. Also, Robert hadn't written part 2 of Dialogue yet. So all of those elements in here, all the stuff that would end up on Chicago 2, the magnificent Chicago 2. But I love this, and other people have talked about this. The really fun thing about live shows like this is when you're playing a song which is just this giant hit, and the audience is, tepidly clapping or whatever. I haven't heard this in this, but Neil Young, when he's at the what they call the Massey Hall show, but I believe on recording is actually a Stratford show. It's a longer story. But he's doing like Old Man, and the audience is like, yeah, okay. So am I supposed to like this song? This is in Buffalo Springfield. So yeah, it's. I look forward to actually hearing this performance in sort of its raw form, just as it came up. Really deep set list, but let's dig in and see how the actual records look and what it looks like inside. The CD set's going to look like the CD set. It literally is the same track listing, which again, I really respect that they did that. Hype sticker, which I'm going to keep somehow. It'll go on the outer. And then this is, again, one of those quad folds that opens like a book, or like, as they used to be called, an album. So inside this sort of set listing here, the inside artwork, and then there, in order to get the 4 LPs. And each record is housed in a black poly-lined paper sleeve. Thank you very much, Warner Records, or Rhino, or whomever is releasing this, the Warner Music Group. The record itself, as expected, looks perfectly fine. No schmutzes, no fingerprints, just regular black vinyl. But certainly looks like it's going to do the trick. We're just checking on the records just for fun. I'm going to pull these out to speed things up a little bit. It doesn't look like there's a booklet or anything like that. It just looks like there's just the rough information. Now, mine came with a little bit of seam damage. There's a little bit of sort of cracking here around. That's one of the things you get. From the outside, it looks perfectly fine, but the inside, based on the structure, there would have been a little bit of tension here on shipping, and so that is something to sort of be aware of. I care a little less about that than others. Certainly the cover matters to me, but the records themselves are the big deal. Again, tiny little bit of dust likely floating around my house, but the record itself looks perfectly fine. This is sides E and F. At least they're not doing that thing where you have it spelled CHIGA, you know. This is side H and G, and again, looks totally fine. And this, sides D and C, and again, same, no expectations of any flaws or whatever. I am super excited about this show. I'm super excited to add this to the collection. They've been actually digging out some really fascinating stuff, some of it for Record Store Day. This feels like it could have been a Record Store Day release, but I'm actually really pleased that it's a more general release, which means it might actually be in the shelves for a lot longer and won't become exorbitant, that regular collectors and regular fans of this band will actually be able to respond to this. Chicago's still touring. I know they're playing actually not far from here in Windsor in a month or so, and I was sort of bemoaning the fact that really the show that I really wanted to see was a year before my birth. So this is my way of living vicariously through this recording and being able to sort of experience the music of Chicago in this pretty remarkable way. For thatshelf.com, I'm Jason Gorber. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, ring the bell, do all that stuff. Follow us on social media. Go to the website. We will see you next video. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.